Bernardo, hey, congratulations for Emily the Criminal.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, more of a congratulations was this was just recently showcased at the Sundance Film Festival. How did that feel for you?
Oh my gosh, it was a dream come true for sure. I mean, of course, because of the pandemic, we couldn't go to Park City, Utah to celebrate this premiere, but I was just really excited for people to see it, especially because we just finished shooting in August. So that turnaround was really quick, and getting for people to finally see the finished product. I actually had seen it for the first time during the virtual premiere as well. So I was really excited to finally get to see the film.
That is terrific to hear. So, what initially attracted you to a project like this, and how did you came on board?
Well, I got the audition from my agent, and I read the script because they sent me the script. I immediately was like, "Oh my God, I love this movie! I love the story. I love the character." So I put myself on tape to audition with the sides that they gave me, sides being the audition material. And I just felt like it just flowed through me. I worked on it, but I also felt like the character just spoke to me. I didn't have to overwork it. And I put myself on tape, sent it out, and there was no callback. There was no chemistry read. Uh, and I heard back about, I don't know, a little bit over a month after, letting me know that I was on hold and that they were interested in me. And then the next week I got it, and then the following week I was shooting. So it happened pretty quickly. I mean, again, without even a second round, a third round, without even meeting the director or having a chemistry with Aubrey or anything like that. So which means that you show up on set and you pray to the God that you do the best work and the best job, and luckily I felt very comfortable. So
I want to say you've done quite a few crime thrillers in the past. How was the experience on this one different?
I think because the character is a father and he is a blue collar worker, but isn't as actively engaged in the crime aspect of it. Yes, he had done one job. For those people, those people that are listening that haven't seen the film, I connect Aubrey's character Emily to this crime ring, I guess you would say, and they do dummy shopping, which means that you are get a credit card with your fake name, a fake ID. You go and shop, and then use that fake credit card and fake ID to buy the stuff. Then you deliver the objects or whatever you bought, and then they pay you for that. So I had done the job once, and then hooked Emily up with the information on how to do it and where to go, and I never continue with it. So I like the idea that I wasn't as involved, or I didn't go deep into that crime ring. And so for me, I feel like generally when I've done these shows or films where I am part of the syndicate, I'm already so embedded into it, and it gets mean and nasty, right? And in this one, I feel like I'm a little bit of the voice of reason. I'm kind of like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you leaving this job to go do that job? And so I felt like it was a different take for me as far as the character was concerned. Of course, for Emily, she goes deep into it, and it gets very messy. But as Bernardo playing the character, I just felt like he has a moral compass, and I feel like it really revolves around having a son and having a family and trying to do the right thing and not go too deep into that world.
Were you aware of this criminal world of credit card fraud before, or did you have to look into it yourself?
Yeah, no, I didn't even know what a dummy shopper was. So I literally had to do my research and figure it out very quickly. And I mean, of course, I've heard of credit card fraud, but I didn't know the extent and how people start to really get involved with it. And even just watching the scene where they are making the credit cards with this credit card machine and are able to easily make a fake ID and all of that. I was just like blown away by everything I read about. And and found out about credit card scams. I had no clue.
You know, I have to remark that was an amazing scene. Almost makes me want to have that machine myself.
I know, right? I know when I was watching it with my friends, they were like, "Where can I get that machine?" I was like, "I don't know, but would be nice. Would be nice."
You know, after playing this character, can can you do you have a better understanding about like the situations for like minimum wage or gig workers, you know, affinity towards like crime?
I mean, I think I really understand feeling like, because I went to grad school and I had $80,000 in debt as well. And I know John, the director, wrote it because he was also in debt after school. And that was one of the impetuses for him to create the story about just trying to survive in LA specifically, and work a bunch of jobs, because the job that we do in this film is a catering job, and he was a caterer as well, and trying to pay off those student loans, trying to get ahead, trying to survive. So I definitely understand, because I've also had my fair share of survival jobs where you're working 9 to 5, or you're working multiple jobs just to pay the rent, pay the bills, try to catch up on your debt, and so I get that aspect of it. In terms of the temptation for getting into trouble and doing illegal activity, I've never done that, but I'm not going to say that there aren't times when it would have been tempting to make easy money, of course. And I do think that this movie definitely shows not only the working class issue of just trying to survive, but also the immigrant issue. Also, when you come from another country, and maybe you don't have papers, maybe you don't have access, or you don't speak the language, or whatever it is, you're just trying to survive. And sometimes the temptation is there, and it's easy to get into it because you need to support your family. So I think the film definitely touches on various things that I can understand and relate to, from just having a family who were immigrants. And yes, they, when they came, they had green cards, but from that extension, you have other people and friends and family that have had experiences where they needed to take jobs, not illegal jobs, but jobs where they were barely getting paid anything, and backbreaking work. And so I do understand why that easy money can be tempting, for sure.
So, what do you know about catering and what happened to all that food on set?
Well, I've never been a caterer, that's for sure, but I've definitely worked at bars and hospitality and stuff like that. So I do know about dealing with customers and satisfaction and all that. However, I've never been a caterer, and all that food went to waste. Because there's one scene where like we're going up the stairs, and everything gets sloshed, and there's like pasta everywhere and food everywhere, and it's just it was a mess. So we definitely couldn't eat that.
I was gonna say I'm not sure a lot of that food that you guys used on the film is edible
No,
after those scenes.
especially when you're doing take after take, you're like, yeah, I don't want to touch that food anymore.
Now, of course, this film is refreshing for someone like Aubrey Plaza, because very few times we would ever see her in such a dramatic role. And I've talked to her many times where she's in person, or at least to me, she's very sarcastic. So, tell me what she's like on set.
Uh, I would say yes, she has a sarcastic energy, but to me, she just was goofy and fun and silly, and we just talk about anything and everything, and we would literally sometimes just talk about acting, but just we just like joke around in between takes, and I just felt so comfortable with her. Um, so I definitely got a little bit more of a chill, fun, welcoming, open energy vibe, very talkative, friendly. To me, it just it just helped me a lot to not only open up, but feel comfortable as a character and improvise as well, because we did improvise a lot during the filming. And so because she's so easygoing, I just felt comfortable, and that's who she is. I think she just makes everyone feel super, super comfortable and welcomed to do their best work, you know? Like I feel like not just as a producer, but as an actor, she wants you to do your best work. And that's incredible. You know, I love that she just makes you feel like not only can you do no wrong, but she wants you to succeed as well.
Is improvisation usual in a dramatic film like this, or is it just Aubrey Plaza style?
I think I mean, it really came from the director. The director would ask us to improvise, to try different things, to add to the scene. You know, and some things did make it into the film and other things didn't when I watched it. But I definitely feel like it added certain elements and through lines, threading. Because once you're there on a practical set, you see what's missing, you see what's needed, you see sometimes the timing and the pacing, excuse me, it needs a little help with added dialogue or jokes or whatever you come up with. And but she's such a master at improvising and all of that, so she makes it easy to improvise with. And you know, you're throwing things at her and she's throwing things back, and it's that interplay. So I think it definitely came more from John's asking of it, but she definitely welcomed it, and she, you know, encouraged me to improvise as much as I wanted to.
And I was going to take a note is that this is Aubrey Plaza's first. I don't know if it's her first producing role, but I do know it's the first for her new company, Evil Hag Productions. Did you sense like she sets a bar pretty high for a film like this?
I do remember her just telling me that she had watched all our tapes, like everyone basically who got cast. She had seen all our tapes, and she felt like they had cast the best people. And I know that as a producer, she has final say as well on who gets cast and who she gets to work with. So from that aspect, I do feel like she had a lot of input. And like I said before, I felt like she wanted you to succeed. So I think, yes, she set the bar high for herself and other people, but I think she was preemptive in like making sure that the right people got hired for the right jobs. As far as other elements of producing, I wasn't in there in conversations in terms of what she, you know, the input that she may or may not have had in the script, or who got hired for the below the line crew or whatever. But as far as her creating an environment where everyone could do their best work and hiring the right people, I know that she really put a lot of emphasis on that. But I know she's produced other films, and they're great. So
terrific. And I know that you have done a lot of bigger budget stuff in films and in television, and this is considered much more of an indie project. Do you enjoy the bigger budget stuff, or do you enjoy the like smaller indie projects like this?
I mean, I like them both in different ways. I think what I like about big budget things is that you have all the time in the world, and you get to do, you know, multiple takes. You get to try different things. You get to you know, have the best of the best, which doesn't mean that in a smaller budget production you don't have the best of the best, because you do. But there's something about smaller budgets where you're moving very, very quickly. But with that being said, I do feel like there's space and time to change things around, and because not when you're shooting on a lower budget, you have to get creative, and you're trying to make it all work and figure it out, and that's exciting. That energy is exciting. that it feels kinetic and it feels dangerous. You know what I mean? There's something, it's not as structured because you gotta go and do a quickly out in the street and then come back in, and you may only have 2 or 3 takes or one take, and you got to go, and there's no time. But there's an energy there about it that infuses it, especially with a crime thriller like this, where it should feel dangerous. It should feel fast and fly by the seat of your pants, so to speak. So there was something about this particular film and doing a lower budget that you're flying by the seat of your pants and you're trying different things and you're moving quickly and you just gotta go. So I did enjoy doing this particular film on a lower budget and just playing around with it and moving quickly. It really helped the style and the genre, I think. And watching it on screen, I was like, yes, this is what we worked for. This is what we did quickly. This is, we added these things and it worked. And you're creating on the fly at times.
That is true. Well, let me ask you a personal question here,
Yeah.
Bernardo. Is how and why did you get into acting?
I was always very dramatic. Ever since I was a little kid. My mom always said I was super dramatic. And I was. And I don't know, I fell in love with film and television, specifically horror films. I used to watch horror films as I was growing up as a little kid. And I just always wanted to do that, to be in it, not knowing really what it was, that was a job and you got paid and all that. And as I got older and I got into high school, I started to do plays and I realized that I was good at it. And I thought to myself, I think I can do this as a career. And I got into the UCLA to do my bachelor's in theater with an emphasis in acting. And then I got my master's and I just continued on that path and learned the craft, learned the technique. Because I knew that I had a dramatic ability, a natural ability, I should say. And it came easy at times, certain elements and certain things that in regards to acting, but I wanted to learn the craft. And once I learned the craft and put those two together, I just took it from there and worked professionally, consistently throughout my career. But I always knew that it was something that I wanted to do as a young kid, even not knowing that it was a career or that it was a paid job or whatever. I just always fantasized about doing those things that I would see on screen. And to this day, I mean, I'm just proud and happy and excited that I get to do this for a living.
Speaking of, since you're such a horror fan, do you end up doing a lot of horror stuff in the past, or is that something somehow out of reach for you?
No, I have never done any horror. And that's something that's on my bucket list for sure. I've always wanted to do a horror film. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to write it myself. I don't know. That's a genre that I definitely want to explore and that I would love to be a part of it. Part of that horror community and genre. I've always been obsessed with it. Like being a kid, I remember watching, I think I was like 9 and shouldn't have been watching it, but I was watching Child's Play. And I remember thinking, I want to be him. I want to be the little kid in Child's Play who gets attacked by Chucky, And so I just always dreamed of that. I think when I was 7, I was Freddy Krueger for Halloween. So if they, I don't know, maybe they'll do a reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street and I can star in it.
Now,
one day.
I don't want to generalize it by saying you're typecast, but it seems like you do a lot of like crime dramas and stuff. Is this how do you get the sense of like not trying to get stuck in this genre? What do you have to do?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as a Latino in general, the types of roles that I've generally been cast in or go out for tend to have that kind of crime genre, narcotraficante, bad guy, drug dealer type of roles. But in the past, recently, I should say, I've started to go out for teachers and doctors and journalists and astronauts and different things. So I definitely think it's been changing. But I do feel like there is a long way to go. And not only in the types of roles, but in the genres, as we were talking about in horror. Like that's what I was saying. Maybe I'll have to write my own because it's rare that you see a Latino lead in a horror film. I'm not saying they aren't out there. I just haven't seen it. But I would love for a predominantly Latino cast to be the central focus in a horror film or in a sci-fi fantasy film, or that's something that I definitely want to see. And hopefully one day I will have my own production company and I can make those types of films. But until then, I just have to keep fighting the good fight and keep switching it up. And hopefully I can audition for things and be cast in things that expand not only my range, but people's perception of what I can do.
And then speaking of range, because you have played dozens of characters already, what is the most best character or memorable character that you loved to play?
Oh, that is a tough question. Because I love all the roles in different ways. I will say in Snowfall, I played a gangster, which is nothing like me. And I got the most attention and kudos from playing that role. Because especially from people that know me, they're like, oh my God, this is not like you at all. So they could see my acting chops. However, I do feel like Sully is probably one of my favorites just because not only was the experience incredible, but I got to learn how to scuba. I got to be taught by Navy SEALs. I got to go in a helicopter for the first time. I got to work with Clint Eastwood. I mean, on and on and on, right? So I would say that was probably one of the highlights of my career. And it was also my first big feature that was released on a national level. And for people to see me all over the world, all over the country, was just a dream come true, because I've always been obsessed with films. And up until that point, I had mainly done a lot of television, which I've always loved television. But when I got into it as as a career, that was my goal, that was my dream, to be in films. But the best laid plans, right? So I ended up doing a lot of TV up until that point. And so it was my first foray into a big budget national release film where people could see my work. And it was just such an incredible experience. And to also play a real life NYPD scuba diver was also such an honor.
Do you take different approaches when it comes to television and film, or do you always look at it as, oh, it's just another acting gig?
Well, from an acting perspective, film and TV are different in terms of the pacing. In TV is quick, everything is fast, everything builds very quickly. Whereas in film, the pacing and the acting can be a lot slower, a lot more intimate and laid back. And it's a lot of in the editing and the score. Whereas a TV show, for instance, that's maybe a Law and Order or a Case of the Week, you got to deliver that information. If you're being interrogated, they got to get that right piece of information at that interrogation to leave the main characters onto their next thing, onto the next clue, or to apprehend the bad guy, or whatever. So it's a much more fast paced in terms of your builds as an actor, and what you're doing. But in terms of the preparation, every character has slightly different preparation, but I would say there's definitely a baseline for the type of preparation that I do for each character, and no matter whether it's film or TV. So
that is great to hear, Bernardo. Well, Bernardo, hey, thank you very much for speaking to us about Emily the Criminal, and also your experiences in this industry. It's wonderful to hear, and hopefully you pursue those dreams of more acting, and especially in the horror genre.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. So one day you're gonna see me in a horror film.
And when that day comes, I'm going to talk to you about your experiences in the horror film.
Yes, please. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Well, appreciate it, Bernardo, and I guess we'll meet face to face next time.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Bye now.
Bye.